Next on we have Lorna Davies, and her subject is water's value in agriculture as a sustainable economic resource, delivering multiple benefits through flood risk and water scarcity management. Lorna is sponsored by the National Trust. She grew up on a hill farm in mid-Wales, her favourite livestock being sheep. Her favourite pastime is shooting badly, but hosting well. She's interested in looking at how we maximise the value of water for the UK's social, environmental and economic community. Next steps is to pursue a career in farming-led approach to nutrient management in Wales for the NFU. And she's still hoping to deliver a garden at Chelsea on the value of water cycle in 2020, or is it 2025? She's a self-confessed water bore, and as Wyn Nowen, who's going to chair the session for their questions, describes her as being her favourite term of endearment for her. Lorna.
Water. Is this our most precious resource? I would like to thank the sponsors, the National Trust, for allowing me to pursue my passion for water, and I'd also like to thank them for entertaining my mother in their properties whilst I was on my UK travels, and the free car parking. Why do I value water? Having grown up on a hill farm in Wales, my most prominent memory is rain. My grandmother told me as a child that one day there will be wars fought over water. I believe she is right. Those wars may not come in the form of guns and bombs, but they come in the form of poverty, starvation, environmental degradation and trade. Today, following the profile Blue Planet has given water and our changing political situation, it's never been more topical. The opportunity to use water as a conduit to drive change is here. With a growing population, increased demand on food, and water to support our expanding needs means we're already at war with our environment. I set out to examine how to overcome that. By putting a value on our water resource and what it delivers, we can develop our resilience to threats like climate change, population growth, and the depleting resources of water from elsewhere. So, is this our world's most precious resource? Well, in fact, water is a finite resource. 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, but 97% of that is salty. 3% is available for fresh water, and agriculture currently uses 70% of the global consumption, with the rest used in industry and domestic. By 2050, we could be looking at an increased demand of 55% for industry and agriculture. So where does the water come from? The United Nations predict by 2050 that 5 billion people will be facing water scarcity. Countries such as Egypt are consuming 4,000 times more water than their available resource allows annually. This is because of abstraction through non-replenishing resources and through desalination plants. So, to start off, I thought we're better to look at the global perspective of water than Stockholm World Water Week. I have to confess, as a self-confessed water bore, I was in heaven. The conference provides a stage for global leaders, NGOs, environmentalists, and industry to discuss things like population growth, sanitation, political and environmental change, and their motivations for adapting to this. I soon realised my vision for creating a value to the uplands of Wales was hampered by a much larger issue. How do we value water on a worldwide scale? Case studies illustrated how global issues on groundwater will affect the future security of our goods and services. For instance, China. Did you know that 80% of China's groundwater reserves are actually unfit for human contact, let alone consumption? 80%. 2/3 of China's urban population actually rely on that groundwater supply for their drinking water. That's 680 million people. 75% of their watercourses are unfit for fish to survive in. And they also found over 60 different types of antibiotics in that water. This means that in China, as in other countries, including our own, drinking water can be like taking medicine. My takeaway message from here was that by considering the water cycle's components in isolation, detrimental impacts can be missed elsewhere on environment and society. So what followed was a whistle-stop tour of America, Australia, New Zealand, and then back to the UK. Here I was looking for places who potentially had very different motivations for managing water. However, their governments all viewed water quantity and quality as a valuable resource, unlike I felt the UK. I met with farmers, facilitators, industry and government to hear how the different facilitation structures affected deliverables within a catchment system. In other words, is this a top-down approach to land management, and if so, how does it work? Or is this a bottom-up approach, such as a farmer-led scheme, and so how is it received? By providing farmers with the drivers behind why water management was important, facilitators such as the levy boards were able to provide support and advice on farmer-led schemes, identifying the root cause of pollution, and then developing a business benefit to the solution. With the top-down approach, mapping scales and ulterior motives such as transboundary issues skewed the identification and delivery methods to suit a blanket approach to deliver within a catchment. This is rather than a site-specific solution. By seeing how different individuals perceived the benefits of managing the environment and agriculture holistically, I started to see the risks and opportunities of governance and how this affected the actual environmental and economic value of a region and who socially could benefit from it. On my return to the UK, I started to explore our situation, reflecting on what I'd learned abroad. I looked at different regions in the UK, exploring how they valued and managed water through internal drainage boards, catchment facilitators, and industry innovations. We have a very diverse appreciation of water and of the value a whole catchment management system can deliver, mainly driven by flood risk and water scarcity. Or, as we see in some parts of the UK, there is no driver and no focus at all. So I surmised through the development of a comprehensive mapping system which collates our current data that every farmer captures or should capture in terms of their soil monitoring and things like that, we can accept additions and we can then capture the knowledge about the farmed environment and how the geology, hydrology, soil type and land use management practices are affected by stocking densities and nutrient loading, and how this shapes our current environment and what the value of that is to then link it to public goods and services going forward. This mapping enables us to quantify our natural resources on farm and identify the land use and soil capacity for uptake of minerals that would directly otherwise impact on our water cycle. A support network of catchment facilitators would assist on farmers developing their own individual environment plans and identify how to manage environmental risks associated with production. This would also be implemented by a toolbox of simple measures to assist this. The data collected within agriculture could then feed into a much wider plan. This would contain data from other industry sources, also inputting into the watercourse. This results in a holistic, catchment-based approach, illustrating the risks and opportunities within a river basin catchment and highlights the potential collaboration opportunities across industry in the both urban and rural environments and what their inputs and outputs are. Unforeseen circumstances such as the beast from the east and the ensuing drought could therefore be accommodated, and if necessary, adjustments could be made through having an adaptive management cycle within your plan. As a result of my travels, I realised how complex our relationship with water is. and how we don't really value it for its worth as a finite resource. In the UK, we have an opportunity as a pretty wet island to transform our perspective on the value of water and all it can deliver, not only to our own nation, but globally to those who we currently source food and other goods and services from. In order for this opportunity to be realised, I challenge the politicians to value our wealth of water resource and its fundamental role in food production. This will protect us from future global social and environmental pressures. To engage and educate retailers and consumers on their water footprint and the consequential resilience of that water supply. This should span more than just food. It must encompass every way in which we interact with water: clothes manufacturing, pharmaceutical, packaging, goods and services. We also need to future-proof. Facilitating a UK-wide catchment-based approach would break down silos and encourage joined-up thinking on society's impact on water in both the rural and urban environments for flood risk and water scarcity. I then challenge you. Value the water in your environment. By data collection and mapping, you can help inform your business and environmental decisions, identifying their effects on the wider landscape. To engage, where possible, in catchment projects, this allows you to participate in the discussions on the cross-cutting themes such as health and well-being, high-quality food production, and environmental enhancements. To future-proof, a healthy environment helps support a healthy business. Without soil and water, you're nothing. So look to yourself and your neighbours to deliver this. Finally, it cannot be one man's mission to preserve, conserve and improve our water resource. It is the responsibility of all those who engage with it. Thank you for listening.